Hey listeners, this is Peter, and welcome back to the History Shorts podcast. This humble show is brought to you by the Podcast Republic, your ultimate listening app. Discover and subscribe to thousands of podcasts from around the globe, yours truly included, and all in one place. Download Podcast Republic now, available on Google Play and the Apple App Store. Today on History Shorts. In the annals of peculiar animal stories, few are as bizarre or enduring as that of Miracle Mike, the headless chicken that survived for 18 months after a botched beheading in 1945. Mike's improbable survival captured the imagination of the American public, earning him a place in newspapers, magazines, and later sideshows and fairs.
Yesterday, December 7th, 1941.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
This day in history. On December 6, 1945, the United States took one of the most profound steps in its history. The 13th Amendment was officially ratified, abolishing slavery in all of the states. It didn't erase centuries of injustice, obviously, nor did it magically deliver equality, but it marked the moment that the Constitution finally aligned with the nation's highest stated ideals. On December 6, 1917, two ships, one loaded with munitions, collided in Halifax Harbor. The resulting blast, now known as the Halifax explosion, was so powerful that it instantly leveled entire neighborhoods, killing nearly 2,000 people and shattering windows 50 miles away. For decades, it stood as the largest man-made explosion in history before, obviously, the atomic age. Story of the day. So today's story might be the strangest one I've ever told you. It's about a chicken, as I mentioned, that lived for 18 months without a head. It all began on a quiet farm in Fruita, Colorado in 1945. Lloyd Olson was just a farmer preparing dinner. His mother-in-law was visiting and he decided that a chicken would do nicely. He chose a sturdy young rooster, raised the axe, and, well, missed, but just slightly. The blow struck behind the comb, slicing through most of the head, but missing the jugular vein and leaving one ear and, crucially, the majority of Mike's brain stem intact. And somehow, Mike the chicken didn't die. At first, Olson and his wife Clara didn't even realize what had happened. They tossed the chicken's body aside only to watch it stand up, wobble, and then try to strut across the yard. Mike could still balance, flap his wings, and even try to peck at the ground, despite the fact he no longer had a beak or a head. His body, guided by the brainstem, was still very much alive. Chickens, it turns out, keep much of their motor control, reflexes, and basic body functions in that small part of the brain. And Lloyd Olson, realizing what he'd accidentally done, decided to see just how long the bird could last. Over the next few days, Lloyd and Clara carefully fed Mike using an eyedropper, dripping a mixture of milk and water directly into his open esophagus. When that worked, they added small bits of cornmeal. They cleaned the wound daily and used a syringe to clear mucus and help him breathe. This whole thing sounds so weird. But to everyone's astonishment, Mike not only survived, he seemed to thrive. Neighbors came to watch. Local reporters showed up with cameras. People didn't believe it at first, until they saw the bird, walking, flapping, even trying to crow, all without a head. The Olsons soon realized that their chicken had become something more than just a farm oddity. He was now a living marvel. They called him Miracle Mike. By the end of 1945, Miracle Mike had become a sensation. I mean, I don't know, maybe because there wasn't anything else to write about. Maybe it was just because, he was a chicken without a head. Newspapers across Colorado ran this story of the headless chicken that refused to die, end quote. Then national media picked it up. Time Magazine, Life, and even newsreels spread the story across America. Remember, this was just months after World War II. The country was weary from rationing, grief, and anxiety. People were ready for something, well, anything that made them smile. And Mike, somehow, clucking and wandering without a head, provided that strange sense of wonder. He became a symbol of resilience and survival. Absurd, of course, but oddly comforting. Here was a creature that should not be alive, and yet was. Veterinarians and scientists were intrigued. How could a decapitated chicken live? When they examined Mike, they confirmed what the Olsons had suspected. The axe had missed the vital parts of the brainstem, which controlled breathing, digestion, and movement. Essentially, the automatic pilot section of the brain was still intact. It was biology's version of a glitch, horrifying, fascinating, and scientifically valuable. Researchers used Mike's case to study motor function, reflexes, and the relationship between brain structure and behavior. But while the scientists studied, the crowds gathered. Lloyd Olson saw an opportunity. Soon the Olsons packed up their miraculous bird and hit the sideshow circuit. They traveled through Arizona, California, and the Pacific Northwest, charging 25 cents a ticket to see the world's most famous chicken. Mike even had an agent and insurance policy. Reportedly, he was valued at $10,000 in 1945 money. That's a small fortune for a bird that, was nearly dinner. At fairs and exhibitions, audiences gawked as Mike perched calmly on the stand, sometimes trying to pick at the air with an invisible beak. He became a media darling, drawing both laughter and scientific debate. For small-town America, he was proof that even the simplest lives could surprise you. Of course, keeping Mike alive required near-constant care. The Olsons continued to feed him by syringe, keeping a meticulous schedule and ensuring that the wound stayed clean. He even managed to gain weight, from 2 pounds to nearly 8 pounds. Lloyd Olson became part showman, part caretaker, and part scientist himself, documenting Mike's daily routines and bodily reactions. He noticed that Mike still reacted to touch, tried to preen, and even attempted to crow, producing only a faint gurgle from his open throat. For 18 months, this strange partnership continued. A farmer, his wife, and a headless chicken who refused to give up. By 1946, Miracle Mike was a household name. The story struck something deep in the American imagination, a mix of awe, humor, and disbelief. He was featured in Ripley's Believe It or Not, in radio broadcasts, and even in traveling carnivals. Visitors to Fruita, Colorado would stop by hoping for just a glimpse on the Olson farm. The town embraced its newfound fame as well. Postcards were sold and local diners added the headless chicken to their menus as a playful nod. But beyond the spectacle, Mike's story reflected maybe something deeper about post-war mood. A fascination with the strange resilience of life itself and the endless curiosity that defined mid-century America. At least that's what sociologists think, because they're still trying to, no pun intended, wrap their head around the fascination with this headless chicken. Sadly, Mike's remarkable run ended in March of 1947 while on tour in Arizona. According to reports, he choked during the night. The Olsons had accidentally left the feeding syringe behind at a sideshow stop. Despite their efforts, they couldn't clear his throat in time. And just like that, the most famous chicken in America was gone. In Fruita, Colorado, Miracle Mike remains a local hero. Every spring, the town hosts Mike the Headless Chicken Days, a 2-day festival complete with obstacle races, chicken calling contests, and live music. For scientists, Mike's story still holds a place in discussions about neurology and animal biology. For everyone else, he's a symbol of oddity, perseverance, and the strange, unpredictable nature of life. For the good of the order. So far, I have been receiving positive feedback about the transition to this new format. Tim from New York says it reminds him of morning news, but history. Anyway, keep the emails and suggestions coming at peter@historyshortspodcast.com and let me know what you think about this variety-style format during the week. Your feedback really matters, as I always say, because it is the reason I'm still here. Hopefully, today's episode has inspired you to seek out and learn more about the subject. For For answers to questions, sources for today's episode, to leave a comment, or check out upcoming guest announcements, visit www.historyshortspodcast.com or look for History Shorts Podcast on Facebook and X. Thank you for all of your support, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow.